So we're finding a little bit of weakness here. We are coming up against some kind of higher time frame volume support here, and we're kind of fast approaching it. The volume has dropped significantly. Yeah, that's something to bear in mind. And last month we had really nice green, potentially a reversal candle. Last month we closed lower than the previous month high, and we're now getting a pullback coming in to test support. Yeah, I mean, I think we're bullish. I think nothing's changed from my previous analysis. Yeah, I did say or suggest that we were coming into resistance in the highs. I was thinking we should get a pullback. We have got a pullback. I don't know how this is going to behave. I don't know if we're going to, this is how it's going to be, or we're looking to do this, or actually that's it and now we're starting to, I don't know. I can't predict that. I'm just looking at the volume. What we really need now is a massive increase in volume on the charts. And what we actually, I mean, just looking at it like this, just really simple, not really getting too complicated. All right. This is kind of what I was looking at before anyway. I think when you're looking at charts, it's always good to just keep them very simple. And let me get my moving averages in as well. So this is the EMA 20, the SMA 21 on a weekly time frame. So I'm looking at the higher time frame moving averages. I'm looking at the higher time frame candles, and I'm looking at higher time frame volume levels. And then the only other thing that I could probably add to this would be some kind of higher time frame fib retracement. Yeah, and I'm doing it from the all-time high as reported at 1.56 all the way down to the all-time low. Okay, and basically what I'm looking at is some kind of change. You see how the prices come above these moving averages, and now we're trying to find support off these higher time frame moving averages. We've had a little kind of rejection from the value area high, but now we're finding support at previous support levels. You see the EMA 2020 is actually looking to hold the price. It's the EMA 20. You see the SMA 21 is looking to turn, kind of like what we were experiencing here, where the SMA 20 was turning, the EMA 20 was holding the price. That's kind of where we are now. We're here. So if you go back to the price action in December, yeah, we're kind of there. The difference was that here where price was much lower. So we were kind of roughly about 3.2, 3.1, all the way down to 2.9. We're actually much higher. And the difference here is that now we're kind of consolidate. For me, this is consolidation underneath resistance. The resistance is the value area high. So right now, whereas before we were just trying to get out of the low of this range, we were trying to flip this high volume node into some kind of support. Right now, what we're seeing is that we've broken out from the lows, putting in a higher low. We've had a little back test of this high volume node already. We've hit resistance at the value area high. And now we're just it looks like consolidation. Nothing's really changed from my previous analysis. It looks like still that we're consolidating underneath resistance. That's what it looks like. Everything that I'm seeing looks like that. On a higher time frame, look at the monthly time frame. You see actually what's happened here is that we found a little bit of resistance against the 21 simple moving average monthly on the monthly time scale. And we haven't actually flipped the EMA 20 into support. So we're coming into resistance here. You can see it, can't you, on the higher time frame? Those EMAs are still trending down. The SMA is still trending down a little bit, but potentially it's going flat. Here you see we put in a lower low, all-time low. We went up, we got the little rubber band all the way down, haven't taken out the all-time low. We're right back into these moving averages. And so really what I want to see next is for us to kind of slowly but surely get above this value area high. On the weekly, on the monthly time frame, let's flip it into support, and then let's not use this value area as a launch pad. Let's use that whole value area as a launch pad to spring out of here and push and take out that high. It's really what I want to see, take out this high here. I think if we take out that high, we'll be looking for a mega breakout. And that's kind of somewhere between 14 and 15 cents. I think people will sell into that. Why wouldn't they? There's going to be people who are buying now, they're going to sell into that at 300% increase in value. But that's where you're going to see the volume, because what you want to see is you want to see people sell. You want to see the increase in volume, and you want to see continued higher prices. You want to see higher prices, increasing volume, higher prices, increasing volume. That will happen because if you get higher prices and increasing volume with a clean break here, then it means that people have sold and the price is still going over. That means there's so much demand that it keeps on pushing the price through the people selling the volume. That's what you want to see. So we don't want to see high volume rejection. We want to see high volume increasing prices for a clean high volume break beyond these highs. Now, it may come lower at 9 cents, but personally, I think it needs to come. We need to change this whole structure and put in a higher high and take out that high there. The reason why I'm thinking that high is because we went from that high to the all-time low, and I'm still thinking that this is the range. Okay, I am aware that there is a bearish harmonic in play, and so that's just I just want you guys to just be aware of the bearish harmonic. That doesn't mean it's bearish, but there is a bearish harmonic. I'll show you. And I've talked about this before. Let me actually go to my other chart. I think for some reason I prefer Bybit. Even though the combined chart is nice, I still prefer Bybit. All right, let me show you here. And let me do this fib. And as you can see, I really haven't prepared. I'm just looking at the chart now and just commenting on the chart now. So what's interesting is also we're coming up to this major time pivot here. I've shown you guys this before. There's a really important time pivot here on the 18th of November. It's a confluence of time coming at the 18th of November, okay? And I don't know whether that means we go down and then have like a spring out. Like, it's quite important, these time pivots. And you can see the 618 here. You see it kind of put in a pivot there. You see the 1-to-1 there, kind of putting in a pivot there. You see the 618 here, put a pivot in there. And these were off these pivots that I drew in the past. So I've been talking about these time pivots a lot. And here you see we have a major time pivot. That's the week of the 18th of November. And that's coming in on both of these time fractals that I've drawn out. So basically, I've drawn out these time pivots from the launch price down to the first low, up to the first pump, and then from the first pump down to the all-time low to the second high here. So we have a confluence of time, which is the 1.618 and the 618 land and the 1-to-1 landing on the week of the 18th of November. So I'd like to see us find support on that time pivot for a launch, for an explosive move to the upside. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. And I don't want us to pump before, because the thing is, if you pump now and then you hit your time pivot at the 18th of November at a resistance level, that's actually quite bearish. Yeah, that's actually really quite bearish. I don't want to see that. I'd rather us consolidate and pump off that time pivot from a support level like this. Does that make sense? Like, for me, that would be quite an important pivot. Yeah, these time pivots. I don't want us to form a high pivot on our week of the 18th of November. I'd want us to form a base on that time fractal. So looking at this again, let me just kind of look at this. So yeah, I was talking about this bearish harmonic, and so effectively yeah, just got to be careful of these, of kind of something like that. I kind of like, I would want it to fall on one of these big higher time frame pivots. Yeah. So the next one after the one that we're about to put in on the 18th of November, would be somewhere at the end of April. Yeah. And so, you know, that would be quite bearish. And then you'd be looking for a pullback. I don't know how far that would go. Yeah. But then you'd be looking for, in my mind, you'd be looking for a pullback to the 50% mark. So in this context, if we do kind of put a pivot here and then start rallying up all the way up to some kind of higher time frame level, I mean, I've got this really extended at 50 cents. Then you'd be looking for, I think, a pullback to about 50% of where you put in that pivot. So speculatively, let's just say we managed to get up to, being very speculative, let's say we managed to get up to 45 cents by the end of April. And then I'll be looking for a corrective move down to 50% to complete this bearish fractal, harmonic. That would be correct, because then you'd be looking for a flip of 9 cents. And then maybe you'd be looking for another explosive move to the upside. That's kind of what I'm imagining at the moment. And so when I look at these harmonics, I'm just bear in mind that the next move up could be a good opportunity to sell if we can form some kind of harmonic here, like something like this. Let me kind of pull that harmonic up for you. Trading harmonics. And so it's really important to see when the time pivots are placed. And then we have to just keep an eye on it. So let me just have a look at these fractals and I can show you. Not fractals, these harmonics. Yeah, this is what it is. It's a crab. Basically, what I'm imagining potentially is some kind of crab. This one here. See that? And you do want it to, you do want the D point to clear the X. And the reason why this will work is because it follows, look, the X goes to the A. X goes to the A is lower than the C. The C is higher. So it goes to the B. The C is higher, which it is in this case. The C to the D is actually a really nice trade. But then I would want to see it kind of land. And then there's different ways of drawing this as well. So you just have to, so right now I've got this time pivot coming in on the 21st of April. So let me just delete those quickly. You could also do it like this. And so I could, and I'm looking at the weekly time frame. So I could do it from this pivot here, the pivot B, to the bottom of this pivot C. So I've got it here, but actually if I go right down to the pivot here, it would be there. It's tricky. It's tricky because if I think I prefer the first pivot actually, but that came a bit early, and so you do have to update these pivots. Maybe from there to there to this pivot here, this high volume pivot here, and that would give us a 1-to-1 on the 10th of February, like that. Yeah. So. And that would look like a bearish crab, wouldn't it? Or either there or there. And this would be May. This would be like the first 2 or 3 weeks of May. And sometimes these can come a little bit earlier or later. So you could get this like some like there or there. But this would look like a bearish harmonic. And the point that I'm making is if we do go up like that, there would be a good opportunity to take profit. And then the target for a harmonic like this would be, in my mind, it would be 50%. So let's say we went up to there, and you'd be basically coming down to about 9 cents, somewhere between 9 and 10 cents, which is what I've got marked here. Yeah. And that would determine whether this would be really bullish or just not. And no one knows, no one can predict the future. So I think it would be very problematic to kind of create a bearish harmonic like this and then do like 5 waves down and then lose a really important support level at 9 cents. You could lose it, come to the golden pocket, go right back up, and you just have a little fake out down here. So if the price came down, if you have 5 waves down, came to the golden pocket, but actually you just was bought right back up, to reclaim the nines. I think that's very possible too. It's always possible to lose a level, quickly reclaim it. So actually you're not losing it, you're just getting a higher time frame rejection of the level. Yeah, so the time frames really matter. But ideally what you'd want to see is you'd want to see a higher time frame SR flip of kind of somewhere between 9 and 10 cents, a higher time frame SR flip after you get some kind of completion of a higher time frame bearish harmonic, and actually that would be bullish. Yeah, so if you created this and you went down here, that's actually now bullish again. Yeah, and I think it's called the 5-1. So let me just show you that as well. Bullish 5-1. Or 5-0. It's either called 5-1 or a 5-0. So you can actually search these on the internet, on Google, for these patterns. Show you. So you see that's a bullish 5-0, and it's basically not correct because you see the B is lower than the X, so it's not actually correct. Let me see if there's one that is slightly different. There's different ones. I'm just having a look to see if there's one with the pivot higher. Technically no, so a 5-0 actually the B has to be lower than the A, and I'm looking at these and they're not, so maybe I'm wrong. Let's have a look. Just having a look here on my other screen. No, I'm wrong. All right, so there is another pattern here. It's a Gartley, it's a bearish Gartley. A bearish Gartley in this circumstance would be like this. I just want to show you. It'd be here. You're not taking the X. This is a Gartley here, look. X, A, B, C, D. See that? So a bearish crab, you'd be taking the X. You'd be taking this pivot here, and a bearish Gartley, your D point here is lower than the X, but you're taking the B, so you have to take out the B, and so effectively you're doing like a really symmetrical A, B, C, D. That would have to land on your D point on the first or second week of February to be correct. And in that circumstance, let me just delete these brush strokes so you can clearly see. Fuck. Get that back. There. You're taking out the B. You're not taking out the X. Okay. So the X is there. Taking out the B not. It's so small a gap between the B and the X. I think this is highly unlikely. I think it's more likely that we do take it out and form a bearish crab, but I'm just saying that it's possible to take out the B and not the X to form some kind of symmetrical pattern. I think it's very unlikely because for this to be symmetrical, let me see, it's like this, isn't it? No, actually it'll be like this. It's possible. No, it is possible. So the symmetry is here, yeah, which would be like this. A, B, C, D. Again, this is actually bearish, but you'll be looking to come back down wherever you land. In this circumstance, probably to 50%, but probably all the way down to the golden pocket would be the midpoint of this channel. Back to 3.6 cents. Yeah. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I will be looking for these major time pivots and where the price actually finds resistance at higher prices. My preferred price action would be this bearish crab. And then even though I was wrong about the 550, I still think it's very possible to create a crab and to come back to 50%. I think that's very possible. And so again, it goes back to what I said before. This would be like there, and then you'd be looking for this to come to this pivot, to this pivot. This would come somewhere there, like that. For me, that would be really nice to see. But anyway, we have to see what happens, right? Sorry, I've kind of gone on a little bit. I hope I hope that doesn't confuse people. I'm really bullish on this project, but I'm just aware that whether you're bullish or not, whether you're higher time frame bullish or not, whether you're looking to hodl TRVL for 5 years or not, I think all of us who are bulls and have a little bit of TRVL, it's not a bad idea on completion of some of these patterns to take some profit with a view of a pullback and defending some kind of a major SR flip. That's all. Yeah. I think for all of us who are bullish, that's how we're going to get to higher prices if we all have the same idea. Yeah. And you can't be greedy if you have that in mind. I think people, if they do, like I said before, if you do make some life changes, take your money and change your life. You don't put it back in. But I mean, if you're looking to ride this bull to the end of the bull market, then actually what I'd be looking for is for people to have the same idea as me, which is to kind of look to scale out at certain levels after the completion of certain kind of patterns and harmonics at key resistance levels after an expansive move. So in this case, from this low to that high would be like a 1,600, 700% increase in value. That's quite an expansive move. And then that would be correct because, you know, I've talked about this before. This could be your 1, this could be your 2, this could be your 3. Then you'd be looking for a back test, an SR flip of the 1 with a 4. Then you'd be looking for another expansive move, which would be your final move, which would be something like that, which would be your 5, something like that. And that would be correct. You'd be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and then a 5, a last push up 5. And so you naturally, trading the 3 is the most bullish move, because if you trade the 3, you take profit at the end of the 3, which is a 5-wave move up into a resistance level at the 3. And then obviously if you can't hold the top of the 1 here, then you can't hold it. It's not a big deal. As long as you hold this level, that's still an impulsive move. That just becomes your 1, and you'll start actually looking for another 3. Yeah, so that 3 wasn't the 3, it was actually it was a 1. But actually, if you can hold this level here, which would be the back test of the 1 with a corrective ABC type move, which would be your 4. And if everyone has that, if everyone does defend the top of the 1, but you can't defend it if you don't have value. If you can't have value if you haven't taken value out at the end of the 5-wave impulse, which would be the top of your 3. And so if we all have that in mind, then we have enough people defending the top of the 1. In this case, the top of the 1 is somewhere between 9 and 10 cents. Then we can actually defend that SR flip, which would be a reaccumulation. And then we can, with Bitcoin, obviously, and the rest of the crypto market, if we can defend that like that, then we can have another 5-wave impulse. And then we can actually aim for much higher targets and probably price discovery. That's kind of what I've got in my mind at the moment. But obviously, I'm not doing this alone. The market does what it wants, and we have to have enough people taking profit at the right levels to defend the right SR flips at the right levels. Okay? So we kind of have to follow this and see what happens. And obviously, the project still has to grow. Obviously, you know, crypto still has to explode. And to be honest with you, even though I have this in my mind now, I literally, like, no one can really predict the future. No one really knows what's going to happen. Could you get an expansive move now by the end of April like this? So it's not really a harmonic. It's just like a fucking parabolic move. Sure, you could. That could totally happen. I can't predict that. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Could that happen? Yeah, it could. Could we now suddenly get a crazy parabolic move to stupid prices, yeah, it's very possible. The reason why it's possible is because it's a very low market cap token. Yeah. So right now we're only at about $11 million. Could $11 million translate to $300 or $400 million in the next 3 or 4 months? Totally could. So from that would be a 30x, and a 30x would already put us at $1.2. Yeah. It's very possible. Yeah. And now $300 to $400 million for a project like Dtravel in the context of a Bitcoin expansive move, a crypto market expansive move, is actually peanuts. It's actually small. All right, that's enough TRVL. Any more questions on TRVL, just feel free to post them on my video. I haven't really gone into depth on TRVL. I've got lots of different ideas, and so obviously I'm just looking at this on a daily basis. And obviously if you've got ideas, let me know. And feel free to kind of, if you like this video, then we can get more and more people can see this video on YouTube. So always do that. The actual TRVL video that I make, that will be really helpful. All right, so I have a few questions. Doge, Voigt, and that project that you wanted, which was Launcher. Oh, okay. And Voigt. All right, Voigt. All right, let me just do Voigt. I wanted to look at a couple of other things too. But let me quickly have a look at Voigt, because I have Voigt. So I don't mind looking at Voigt. I have to find it though. There it is. This is Voigt on KuCoin. Let's have a look at what I did before. Oh, look at that. I don't know what to say. Majid, what do you want me to say? Happy? Happy enough? Maxime is asking, do you have a market cap target for TRVL? It's really difficult with TRVL because I really want to see volume at the right levels. And unless I see volume, I'm not going to necessarily know how far it can go. We're looking at a really illiquid market at the moment on TRVL. And it's so difficult to predict when you have such a low volume. And especially now, we had quite a large amount of volume here, which was, in my mind, which was accumulation. And now we've had a buy up with low volume. And I don't really like that. I really want to see buy ups with high volume. And the reason why is I want to see people sell and for the price to continue go up. Yeah. And until I see that, it's going to be very difficult for me to imagine higher prices. Yeah, because what will happen is suddenly you'll get really high volume into the highs, and that will be actually quite bearish. I want to see a high volume break or a high volume take profit with a SR flip. I don't want to see high volume rejection. All right. And so at the moment, because this buy up here has been quite low volume, I'm uncertain. I'm uncertain about TRVL. And so I'm just kind of analyzing possibilities. But once the volume comes in, then I'm going to be a lot more confident about the move, and then I can kind of evaluate targets. And because targets are difficult if you don't know. I don't know if this was an impulsive move here. I really don't. It could be, or it could not. Because usually impulsive moves are really impulsive. And honestly, when I look at this move here, I can see 5 waves. Sorry, we're talking about TRVL again. I can potentially see 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I can potentially see 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, whatever, 4, 5. Yeah. So I can see that there's potentially some impulse here. And the fact that we haven't taken out the low there doesn't invalidate this move as a wave 1 Elliott wave move. We've had a really deep correction, a really long correction. This is actually really bullish. And we've had our first impulse, which is your wave 1. This is your first impulse. So potentially we are in the wave 3. There's no way to know if this is a wave 3 until we see how far this gets. Because obviously if this just goes up and kind of then this isn't your wave 3, is it? Or it could be the wave 1 of 3, and we're still looking to go down to do a 3 of 3 and then a 5, like this, more of like this. So actually it is a 3, but actually this is your wave 1, and you're looking for kind of like a big wave 3 there, but you're still then looking for a wave 5, right? So there's lots of variations of what could happen. I think it's really good that we haven't taken out this low here. I think that's really good. And I talked about it when I did my last stream before I took a break. We were kind of trading down here, and I said we just can't take out the low. I said I gave people value levels to defend, and we defended these levels. And it was basically the levels that I gave were defended by the bulls. It was somewhere between 20 and 22 and 2.1 cents, and we were able to defend this all-time low. So if anyone looks at this, no one is going to be thinking to themselves that we're going to go down. No one is going to be thinking like that. This project would have to really fail to do that. If this did this, it would be extremely bearish. Yeah, if we did that. No one's expecting that. Just because it looks like we've put in a triple bottom here. If there is a triple bottom, we are looking at some kind of rounded bottom as well. And naturally, we'll be looking for higher lows now with a final kind of parabolic move to the end. It'd be like this, wouldn't it? That's kind of what I'm imagining. And we'd have to see impulsive waves, and we also have to take out this high here. Yeah, not this one. I want to take out that one. Even if it looks bearish, like a bearish higher time frame harmonic, then you've got to pull back, defend an SR flip, and then go, right? So if we do see that the next wave, it'll be a lot easier to predict, because otherwise it'll be very difficult to predict. And so let's just say hypothetically this is your wave 1. I can just do it now for you. This is your wave 1. This is your wave 2. And here you've got I've got my 1.618 target at 3.36 cents. A 1 to 2 is at 72 cents, yeah? So if I see an impulsive move now all the way up to there, that's your wave 3. And then if I see a nice corrective move down to here, then I can also do I can do the same thing here, can't I? I can do another, whatever, wherever this lands. And then you have targets. Then you have some nice targets. Okay. Then you'll be looking, but that would, for this to be valid, you would have to defend this as the pivot point of wave 1. This would be the pivot point of wave 4. That would have to flip. You'd have to have a higher time frame flip there. And then I've got a nice fib extensions, and then your 618, according to this, would be based on this idea. Your 618 would be at 56 cents. Your 1-to-1 would be the all-time high. And so in this context, actually, I'd probably be targeting the all-time high. Probably, I'd want to see a nice 5-wave move taking out the all-time high with a 1-to-1. As long as 3 is not the smallest, the 5 can actually overextend, and you would want it to overextend. And so I've always talked about a smaller 1, a bigger 3, and a fucking crazy 5. I've always talked about that. And the reason why the 5 could be crazy is because you've changed a higher time frame market structure. You've had a really nice inverse head and shoulders type breakout with a massive defense of the neckline. So that's really bullish, isn't it? And so you'd be looking for a nice, at least a 1-to-1